Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Fat Man Getting Fit. I am Richard, I am a fat man, I am getting fit, and today I have to do some wound care. My thumb is sticking out like a sore thumb, and that is because I had a illness that got me sick. I have showered, I have cleaned this in the shower, which is doctor's orders, and now I have got to perform wound care, which means I have to bandage this up, alright? So this is a wet to dry bandage, and that is because they actually want there to be fluid coming out of this. So one thing to know about wound care is always have place to put your trash, because there will be a lot of trash. Okay, so this is a sterile dressing. A dressing is the thing that you apply directly to the wound that should be sterile, as opposed to a bandage which typically covers the dressing. Now, one of the things I have to do here is I have to soak this wound for 10 minutes. Okay, not quite enough solution there. Need a little bit more. Has to be completely submerged. And luckily for me, I don't have to submerge the section near the hand that is healed up, but this section that is wide open, that needs to be submerged. So now that's in the water, or in the irrigation solution as it is. No, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Okay, timer is going. Alright, so now I have some busy work to do while I'm doing that. For example, take my blood sugar. I've done this on this channel before, but here I am. It's not easy to do this one-handed. I have diabetes, and diabetes runs in my family. My sister, my brother, my father all had diabetes. My mother died young. I don't know if it runs in her family. I'll have to ask. But, like I say, this, by the way, is the Lancet. It is a device for puncturing skin to get a drop of blood. These are test strips. They go in my blood glucose monitor. I don't know if you guys can hear one of my cats is complaining. But here's a blood glucose monitor. This is a Novamax. And you will note, I could see that there is now a blinking blood drop. Okay. So I have to clean the area that is going to be lanced. And these lances are adjustable, so you can get a different kind of depth each time, but okay, make sure I get enough blood there. Okay. $169. Not a bad reading for me, honestly. My target is around 100. And over 200 is worrying. So now, this is not one of the better monitors. Better monitors are completely digital, but this not being one of the better monitors, I need to write this down. which is, again, really hard to do one-handed. Stuff all falling on the damn floor. Okay. One, 6, 9. All right. That's good. Okay, now gotta take my insulin. Okay. Got our alcohol pad here. And we're gonna clean this up. All right. So, what you're actually looking at here is a double needle. There is a needle that's going to point towards you, and there's a needle that's going to point towards the cap. And if that needle doesn't puncture properly, you won't be able to get your insulin out. So one of the things that happens with these is that there's air in the tube. The needle itself is a tube, so you need to get that air out of there. And what they tell you to do is to pop 2 units of insulin through it. Okay. Alright, so both of them have gotten their insulin out. Okay. And every time you use one of these insulin pens, they automatically reset. So they go back to 0. Alright. Clean spot on my... And they have to be injected into fat, by the way. Which I have plenty of, so not a problem. Okay, so there's one. I do keep these in my refrigerator, for those of you that don't know. Sterilize a new area. Okay. Here we are. I have taken my insulin and I've taken my blood sugar. And this could really be a lot more ergonomic. But yeah, this is a consequence of not taking proper care of your health. Having diabetes weakens the immune system, and the weaker immune system is why I got the infection that the doctor had to cut open and bleed out. So had I taken better care of myself, you know, I wouldn't be in this mess. I wouldn't be doing this right now. But then, that's one of the things about this channel is that, everybody's different and everybody has their own problems. And I looked at the people who were really healthy and in great shape and said, this guy just isn't going to be me. It's like I follow, one of the guys I follow was a professional senior triathlete. And, he's like, after you work out, you need protein every 4 hours. And it's like, yeah, but I'm not going to be a professional senior triathlete. I'm going to be a fat guy trying to be healthier. So I don't think that applies to me. And, that's the world we live in, is that there's a lot of really healthy people. They're in the business of being healthy. And if you're not going to be in the business of being healthy, if you're not looking for that six-pack abs, you just don't want to be in poor health, it's really hard to relate to them. That's the world we live in. So you look at these people, these sort of fitness freaks, and it's like, yeah, that body is not really obtainable for me. And I mean, yeah, okay, yeah. If I had a perfect nutrition and I spent a lot of time in the gym and all that sort of stuff, maybe I could get there. Maybe. But I'd be miserable. What's the point of life if you're miserable? Doesn't make sense. Oh, this, by the way, is a Sharps container. It originally held the irrigation fluid that I have in here. And, obviously, you don't want sharp objects tooling around or anything with your own blood on it. So that's why it all goes in there. If this were to fall on the floor, not going to come out. They say, like, you should use any hard container will do. But hopefully a hard container you can reseal. There we are. Okay. So now I take the dressing and I completely cover the wound here. This stings a bit, but it's manageable. Getting the bandage started is probably the hardest part here because, it's going to feel loose at first and you don't want to pull it off. So you got to wrap it a couple times loosely. And you don't want this to be too tight. You really don't. And I put a few passes on the hand for stability. I don't want this thing coming off. Another issue is that if this were to come off, or if there was fluid to come through this at my work, I would have to go home. So I don't want that happening either, obviously. And this is a smaller bandage. This is the smallest bandage that they gave me. But as you can see, I'm wrapping this up. This gauze is going to catch any infection coming out and prevent any infection from coming in. That's the point of it. So, we tuck. Alright, so it's tucked. And the final step is to tape. That did not go well. Nor did that. Okay. Let's try this the other way. There we go. Nice piece of tape here. Goes over the tuck. And there we have a bandaged thumb. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. I'm Richard.